Welcome, everybody, to Survive in Advance on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. And I would like to welcome my other co-host who the show got pushed back 2 hours today because Steve Risley needed to get a mani-pedi. How you doing, Steve?
Feeling good about the mani-pedi, man. Tell you what, you don't get one, you know what you're missing. Mani-pedis are nice. Yeah. Don't knock the mani-pedi.
You know what? What is the name of that soap opera you watch again? Days of Our Lives?
Young and the Restless.
Young and the Restless. All right, because I tried watching that, and I pulled up a video. I watched it for like 5 minutes, and what the hell are you thinking, Steve?
Well, the problem is that Victor had a vasectomy about 30 years ago, but it didn't take.
Yeah.
And he's fathered all these children all over the world, so now he's got little Newmans running around everywhere. And, you know, what's amazing about Young and the Restless is they give birth to a kid, and 2 weeks later he's 22 years old.
What's amazing
and
to
running
me
the business.
Is I can't believe a grown man watches that.
You know, you got to diversify, Mike. You got to look. You got to expand your horizons. Can't just always be sports. Can't just always be boxing. You got to look at other things and explore. You don't know what's out there if you don't go look.
I watched it for 5 minutes though, and it made me feel stupid.
No. There's a lot of life lessons to be learned in soap operas. A lot of things go on.
All right.
A lot of rich people who never work and always just divorce and remarry. They inbreed like crazy, and it's fun. It's like being in Kentucky.
So it's basically like being a member of Congress.
Yeah, that too.
All right.
Move on.
We have a couple co-hosts today, or I can't call them co-hosts because Steve gets mad, but a couple guests today. First up from the FF Face-Off, Anthony Cervino. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great. How's it going, guys?
All right, and of course, you heard him Friday. He was a member of the Super Bowl 36 champion, New England Patriots. I think he was on the front of, the Sporting News, Marc, after that game. Help me welcome to the show, Marc Edwards.
Yeah. I was on the cover of the Sporting News after that Super Bowl. I'm not quite sure why, other than I'm extremely photogenic because, while I started the game, I didn't do a whole lot. I mean, my tailback had 85-some yards rushing. I had a couple of first downs on some short yardage plays, but only touched the ball 4 times. But, played the entire game, started, and happened to be in the right place at the right time after the victory, holding that Lombardi trophy. And since I'm such a good-looking guy, they put me on the cover.
Yeah, well, Risley was never on the cover of anything. So my question is this. You were there. I think you guys beat, the Pittsburgh Steelers in the championship game that year. What was the feeling like after that game as the clock was running out knowing you're going to the Super Bowl?
You know what? Much like this year, we were on the road at Pittsburgh, so they were on the road at Kansas City. Silencing a crowd on the road in the second biggest game of the year, there's nothing better than that. Those terrible towels were waving the whole time, just a sea of yellow, and we silenced them all. It was just a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And it's exciting that you're going to the Super Bowl, but you still know that you have another step, a more important step to take the next week. So while it was another accomplishment, it wasn't the ultimate goal. So you were happy about it, but there was still a great amount of work to do.
Well, see, and I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the New England Patriots since then have become my second favorite team because the two teams I always hated the most was Peyton Manning's Colts and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I figured if it wasn't for the Patriots, those fans would have a lot more to talk about. So I've always been a big Patriot fan.
Yeah, the Patriots have taken a few rings away from both of those teams, and really, quite frankly, have had their way with both those teams in most seasons.
Yeah, you had an anomaly, once, I think, with the Colts. I don't think the Steelers ever got you guys in the playoffs, though, did they?
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think somebody else always beat the Patriots those years when the Steelers went on to the Super Bowl. They lost to Baltimore one year. They lost
to Denver one year.
Denver one year, yeah.
All right, so let's start off. Let's talk about what were two great football games yesterday. We'll start off the NFC Championship game, the Rams and the Saints. And I think we really can't start off talking about this without talking about the pass interference, Anthony.
Yeah, that was a big call, and you know the Saints had plenty of opportunities to put the game away. But when a call that blatant goes the wrong way and realistically costs you a trip to the Super Bowl because there wasn't a lot of time left, and that would have converted them into a first down in the red zone. I mean, they were basically locked in. So in one aspect, it sucks, but on the other hand, it's part of football. Penalties are almost like a quarter of the game.
Yeah, but my problem is this, Mark. A penalty miss like that should not happen in any game, much less this.
It certainly shouldn't, but at the same time, it's just there were so many controversial calls throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
That one was just obviously blatant because of the situation. There were pass interference and holding, and at the same time, there's so many ticky-tack rules that these poor referees got to interpret every single play with guys flying around the field. It's a very, very difficult task to be an NFL referee right now, but at the same time, it seems like the officiating is historically bad.
Yeah, it's the worst call I've seen that really had that much bearing on a game with a team going to the Super Bowl since 1977, which was the AFC Championship game where Rob Lytle gets hit. He's a yard and a half short of the goal line, and they signaled it a touchdown as he fumbles, and the Raiders recover it. Denver went on to win 20-17.
Some would argue the worst call previous to this was the tuck rule.
I don't, because to me, you were there. The tuck rule, that was the rule. I mean, it was a stupid rule.
It really was.
It was a stupid rule, but it was still the rule. And here, I mean, the Saints DB admitted that he was beat and he was just tackling the guy. The NFL's admitted it was wrong. So my question to you, Steve, is this. Should there be instant replay on pass interference?
Well, I think, me personally, they should do away with instant replay, period. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, so we can have every game with an illegitimate winner. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, all right. Well, that's my opinion, and you asked me my opinion. Should there be No, because we would take 5 hours to play a football game if we started calling instant replay on every damn play that's out there. It's a bad call. It was an atrocious call. But you know what? Somewhere there's got to be accountability. From what I've listened to, and I'm not an aficionado like you guys are, but there were some pretty stupid play calls that the New Orleans made on that drive that could have sealed them an opportunity to get a lead and run time off the clock. Instead, they went for some passes they shouldn't have probably tried to do. They made some dumb plays. I don't believe that any one play wins or loses a football game for you like that. It's a terrible call. But if the Saints were that good, they're champions. Champions find a way. They should have been able to overcome that call and win the game. They're playing at home. New Orleans, or the Los Angeles can't even hear themselves think. And I'm sick and tired of hearing say that play ruined the entire New Orleans Saints season. That's bullshit.
Okay.
All right, it's a bad call.
So the fact
it's a bad call.
Wait a second. You said there was bad play calls on the last drive, but they were throwing a pass. They were throwing a pass to the 5. That should have been, an interference. They did what they were supposed to do on the final drive.
What was the time left on the clock? What was the time left on the clock when they made the pass?
Probably about 1:48, somewhere around there.
Right. So why don't they run the ball, run the time off, take the field goal, and move on? Why are they trying to score?
Why are they trying to score? What was the score of the game at the time?
I don't know. What was the score of the game?
I'm asking you. You know because you just made the comment.
No, I don't know. I know. I wasn't paying that close attention to it.
Well,
the score was tied at that time.
Yeah.
New Orleans
was tied. Run the clock down. You're on the 20-yard line.
You can't run the clock down.
Run the ball.
You can't run the clock down. The Rams had 3 timeouts left. What do you think the Rams are going to do? Just not call timeout?
At that point, the Rams had 1 timeout left. There was about 2 minutes left. I remember this vividly.
Was it before the 2-minute warning or after it?
If they run 3 times in a row, the Rams are going to have about 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock after the field goal.
Yeah, 1:15.
They had that 1 timeout. Right.
Well, they're going to have to burn a timeout somewhere because you can run more than that much time. You can 40 seconds the time clock.
Was it before the 2-minute mark?
You can run a minute.
Right. Mark, was it before the 2-minute mark?
It might have been. I remember. I think it was maybe on the third down play. They would have a minute.
Yeah,
left
it wasn't like it
and
was first
really
down.
Well,
something
okay.
like that, right?
I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that was the option that I've heard. I was listening to NFL Network all morning, so all the Sanders and Sharp and those guys said, the Saints made some mistakes that they could have corrected. That play wouldn't have been as detrimental a play to them had they done better play calling at the end of the game. That's what I'm saying. That's the point. The point is they had opportunities to overcome that horrible call, and they didn't do that.
Well, not only that, but at that point they were still up by 3.
Right.
The Rams still had to go down and kick a field goal to tie it, and then the Saints still got the ball.
But if they kick the field goal, then they're up. If they kick the field goal, they're up 6.
This is the thing.
Hang on. I'm talking.
Okay, whatever.
Mark, they're up 3. If they kick the field goal,
what are you going to do? Are you going to do it like normal, just repeat the same point 3 times in a row? Go ahead.
No, Mark, they're up by 3, right? They kick the field goal, then they're up 6.
No, the
correct?
game was tied. They're up by 3 if
was
they
it
kick
tied?
the field goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, then you force them to score a touchdown to beat you. I mean, that's not easy to do in that stadium with that noise.
Yeah,
that
but you give them the opportunity to kick a field goal to send it to overtime.
Well,
you know
what?
They didn't do it.
They lost the game, Mike. They didn't do it, and they lost the game. So maybe they should have tried Plan B.
So I guess that it's all right then that an official can decide the season because they did, Steve. And you don't want any instant replay at all. I mean, that's crap.
Take it out of the game.
That's stupid. You know what? I don't know. Mark, am I wrong here? Do we need instant replay?
I don't believe we need instant replay on judgment penalties. I like instant replay the way it is. These guys are just too
black
big,
and white calls.
too fast, too big, too fast. Things happen too quickly,
right.
and the camera work is so much better now.
Right.
There's so many more cameras, so many more angles at it now than there was in the 90s and 80s when we didn't have the high-speed film and the HD and all this other stuff. So I like it the way it is. You can't really do it on judgment calls, but once again, it was a blown call. But as Steve said, there's still opportunity for New Orleans to overcome that.
Yeah, right? Unless it's the last play of the game. There's still chances. But
it wasn't the last play of the game.
I know. That's what I just said.
All kinds of opportunity.
All right, so Anthony, what's your take on instant replay? Is it something that's needed?
He's looking for an ally, Anthony. Don't get him anything.
No, I'm not. I'm not looking for an ally.
Somebody in his camp.
I don't need an ally.
Oh, hell, you are.
I'm not.
I think
you're a genius.
I think at this point, at instant replay is a necessary evil. We've come way too far with, like you guys said, with the technology and everything else that I don't know if you can go back to a game without instant replay because the NFL, they're really trying to get all the calls right, and once in a while a call like yesterday is going to slip through everybody's, through the ref's hands. That said, and we'll talk about this game later, but we could have this offseason the league and the league owners vote not only challenging the non-call instant replay, but also trying to get the ball in both quarterbacks' hands in overtime. Not everything can be fixed. Football is still a game. It's not infallible.
Well, I can tell you this. This has been done where you can challenge pass interference. You can challenge it in the Canadian Football League and the CFL. It has slowed games down a little bit. But overall, I think the way they do it is, you still have the same amount of challenges. So if you use up all your challenges, it's a done deal anyways. So if you only get 2 challenges, I still think that if there's a challenge left there, New Orleans uses it, the play is called correctly, and the game's played from there. I just don't think – and see, the other thing with instant replay is this, and Marc said it, the game is so fast now. It's really hard to expect these officials to be able to make these calls that quickly. And it's a lot harder to do it correctly now, too, Marc.
Completely is. I still don't like the judgment call being a replayable type of event, just because, there's just so much that goes on, and I just think it opens up too much interpretation. There's pass interference of some sort, some kind of contact down the field on every single play. Just like there's offensive holding on every single play if you want it. You have to define so much more distinctly what passive interference is. Is it, hey, I touched the guy as he was down the field, or is it, hey, I impeded him in some way, shape, or form? So there's just too many things going on in order to slow it down and look at it every single time.
And I know Steve agrees with that. We had the conversation last. There is too much gray area in these penalties, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I thought you were going to have a better take than that, but all right, we'll move on. Anthony brought up.
You'd be repeating yourself.
Anthony brought up.
That play did not define the game. That's just a crutch
for
Sean Payton to get up there and whine about.
Okay.
I mean, it was a big play, but there were a lot of big plays.
Yeah, but that was the one that would have decided a game, and they screwed it up. You can just say that. They still had chances to win the game, Steve, but you can't sit here and tell me that it didn't have something.
On the next play.
Yeah, he could have. But chances are they're going to take a knee 3 times and kick a field goal. Maybe they missed a field goal, but that opportunity should have been there because it was a terrible call. So if you're saying that it was a judgment
we
call
all agree, Mike.
And it's not a bad call, that's fine. But I think the call should be right. I think that you have a lot of fans that are emotionally and fiscally invested in these games, and the NFL needs to do something right at some point.
Here's my take on this: is that you're of this Gen X generation. I'm a little bit older than you. I grew up
you're
playing
10 years
Atari.
older than me, Steve. I'm not a Gen Xer and whatever.
Let me finish my story.
Yeah,
I grew up playing Atari.
You know what
Atari doesn't have? Atari doesn't have a reset button. You play it out. When you get beat in Atari, you just got to grind it out and finish the game. Then you start a new game.
I've still got an Atari. I hate to tell you this, but you can turn it off and turn it back on.
Can I finish my story?
Obviously not. Go ahead.
All right. So in today's era, we have these reset buttons on Xbox and PlayStation. Kids learn to hit reset buttons. The instant replay is nothing but a reset button. If we don't like the outcome, we throw a flag and say, I want to hit the reset button. It's not the way sports are played. Referees are like footballs are part of the equipment. They're good. They're human beings. They're going to make good calls. They're going to make bad calls, and you deal with it.
Okay,
you're going to play in sloppy fields sometimes. You're going to play in noisy domes sometimes. You deal with the environment you're dealing with.
So my question to you is this,
and you go with it.
You don't even think a touchdown should be reviewed?
No, a black and white call, review them. Like Marc said, all the black and white calls, if he's out of
Wait
bounds,
a second.
look at it.
Wait a second. No, don't give me that. You can't give me that after what you just said. Because what you just said was, well, that's the call, you got to deal with it. So what the hell is the difference between guy having 2 feet in or if he's crossed the plane? Shouldn't we just, with there was no reset button in 1960 or whenever you grew up.
Okay.
So
all right.
Shouldn't we just let it go? I mean, what the hell?
Fine.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Rather than go through this hassle of replaying everything, I'd say just do away with it. And, the referee made the call. That's the call. Either he's in or out.
Yeah.
Play it. That's what Bart Starr and Vince Lombardi and Y.A. Tittle and Sammy Baugh and Billy
I
Kilmer,
guarantee
they
you
did
this.
that.
I guarantee you this. If they would have had the technology to do this in the 1960s, Vince Lombardi would have wanted it. Why wouldn't you want it? Officials are incompetent at every level. They just are. I've coached football for 30 years, high school to professionally. They all suck. I've never seen a good official. And when you let the officials control stuff, you get what you got yesterday. I mean, the AFC Championship game, there was so many bad calls in that game that really, if you look at it, they probably cost all 4 teams the game at some point. I mean,
the one we're going to get to when we get to the Patriots game is going to be the Edelman punt. Did he touch it or not?
He obviously didn't.
I mean,
but let's go ahead.
Yeah, by 12 different angles. We'll get to that game, though.
Let's finish up the Rams-Saints. And the thing that stuck out to me in this game, Anthony, was the Rams' defensive line, which completely shut down the Saints' running game. I mean, if you look at it, and I think this is why you saw so many passes in the fourth quarter by the Saints. Mark Ingram, 9 for 31. Alvin Kamara, 8 for 15. And Ndamukong Suh, we expect Aaron Donald to be great, but this is the second week in a row, and Ndamukong Suh has been just as good.
Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh, he struggled a little bit this season. We didn't hear his name a lot, and the past 2 games in the playoffs, and Ndamukong Suh looks like a player who realizes that he's not going to get an opportunity like this again. It may never happen again. I mean, he played with the Lions and the Dolphins. He never really went to a playoff game, maybe once or twice. So in Ndamukong Suh, instead of committing, thoughtless penalties, he seemed to really grow into a pro's pro, at least for these 2 games, and played a big role in why the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think when you look at that, a lot of that is due to having Wade Phillips as your defensive coordinator, because this defense over the last month has really stepped up, Mark.
And Ndamukong Suh, people will forget, he was the Aaron Donald of 6-7 years ago. He was a 2 or 3 draft pick.
Yeah,
the guy was
Nebraska.
dominant.
Yeah,
he was dominant. He was arguably the best player that came out of that draft. And he's had some of the mental issues, some of the attitude type issues over the years with some of the stomping and things like that. Kind of got a bad rap, and now that he's not the focal point of that defense anymore, he's free to kind of do what he needs to do now, and he's starting to thrive again in that environment. Now that he doesn't have to be the focal point, Donald is, and he's playing really, really well.
Yeah, and when I look at it, another guy that really played well for the Rams, who I've questioned all year, was Jared Goff, Steve.
He did his job. I mean, 25 of 40 for 297 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Andrew Luck, but he did what he had to do to run the offense and get the team in position to win the game.
And the thing that
he didn't screw up. That's what we wanted him to do, is not screw up. Pardon?
Yeah, so he did that without a running game, without Todd Gurley.
Right, yeah.
Well.
Anderson gets 44 yards.
Exactly.
Gurley gets 10 yards. Yeah, no running. 77 yards total for the team. Yeah, no running game at all.
Right. And but Todd Gurley has been that outlet for him on the short passing game as well. And one catch each for the running back. So he was doing it in different ways than what they were doing it earlier in the year when Todd Gurley was running for 100 yards and receiving for 100 yards darn near every game.
Well, and I want to say this: that we all talk about this pass interference call, and they could have called helmet to helmet there too. That's probably was as good a call, because he definitely crashed his helmet into the receiver's helmet on that play. But talk about the gutsy call that the Rams make on fourth, and they're getting ready to punt, and they throw the pass, and they catch New Orleans and get the first down. I mean, that's as big a play in my eyes, by taking that risk where they're going to give it back to them on the 50-yard line with the Saints offense.
It would have been the 30-yard
they do the fake punt, and they get the first down, and they go on march down and score there, and that's huge.
Well, if you remember, it was 13-0 at that point. The Rams are actually, I believe they were on their own 30-yard line when they faked that.
Yeah, 30? Yeah.
So
that's as gutsy a call.
That was do or die at that point for the Rams.
That was real similar to what Sean Payton did the previous week down 13 or 14.
I was just going to go there.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
Right. I mean, you talk about this pass interference. That play may have defined the game every bit as much as the pass interference.
You know what? I think the play that defined this game more than anything was Sean McVay not going for it, 4th and goal at the 1, down 3 points.
Taking the field goal, yeah.
I think in that situation, I may be crazy here, but with 5 minutes left and Drew Brees is the other quarterback, I don't think I'm settling for a tie there. And he played gutsy earlier in the game, but if he plays the New England Patriots and he's not going for that on 4th and goal at the 1, down 3 points with 5 minutes left, he's going to lose the game, because Drew Brees is going to put the ball in the end zone at some point. So I was disappointed with him, because he's made all those calls for the last 2 years. And then when you get to the biggest moment, he kicked a field goal, Anthony.
Yeah. Okay, Anthony. All right, I'm sorry, I won't talk yet.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, my thought is this, Mike. In that call, I think it's the right call, because you're living to play another day.
No, you don't live to play another day. If Doug Peterson would have lived to play another day last year, he'd have lost.
No, I understand.
Mike, can I finish?
I'm not even talking right now.
Rip on me. Let me finish, then you can rip on me, please. All right? At that point, you want to get the tie. You want to force New Orleans to score.
God.
You tie the game up and say, okay, now you've got to we've got the defensive pressure on you right now. We've got Sue and our defensive line pressuring you like crazy. We've taken your running game away. You're ineffective on your throwing right now. We're going to put pressure on you to go down and score, move the ball. I'm going to tie you up, all right? And because I want to live to play another day, all right? Now, come next 2 Sundays from now when they're playing the Patriots, no, you go for it then because there's no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow after
So
that
there
game.
was a tomorrow in this game? If you lose it? Ask
Yeah,
Sean
it's called
Payton.
the Super Bowl, you idiot.
If you lose the
it's called getting
game,
to the Super Bowl.
there is no tomorrow.
They didn't lose the game, Mike. It played the percentages and it won.
They didn't lose the game
Idiot.
because they got a little help from an official, you idiot. Anthony,
right.
go ahead.
I get I think I get the play call to an extent. Is anybody noticing that Drew Brees is underthrowing his receivers a little bit?
Yeah, he did a few. He threw a few.
He did
behind,
last
too.
week, which was an interception on the first play of the game against the Eagles, and then he underthrew Michael Thomas on what could have been a touchdown. Maybe that could be playing an effect on Sean Payton's play calling.
Yeah, but if I remember right, on the one he underthrew Michael Thomas, he got pressure almost immediately on him. He had no chance to set his feet.
He was pressured the whole game.
Yeah, and that's my point, Steve, because even if you don't get it on 4th and 1, you're leaving them at the 1-yard line. And chances are you're going to get the ball inside the 50 with 3 minutes left. I would have taken a chance. Mark, am I nuts?
Okay.
I know I am, but...
Now, you know what? I think it's more of a game situation at the time decision. If you go back, back when the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, the Patriots and the Colts were playing, there were times where Bill Belichick would go for it on his own 30-yard line because he knew he could not stop Peyton Manning. So it didn't make any difference whether Peyton Manning had to go 30 yards or he had to go 80 yards, right? It just might have took an extra minute. Whereas McVay wanted to get those points on the board because the Saints scored 13 points in the first quarter, and after that, the Rams completely shut them down, save that for that one touchdown, right? So he knew he was trusting in his defense at that point because they had played so well for those final, 2 quarters plus. So he was putting his faith in the defense because of how they had performed up to that point. And so I kind of agree with that call. Tie it up, put your defense back on the field. They've been stopping everything New Orleans have been doing at that point. So that's why I think it was a good call. Whereas in the Patriots game or something like that, it may be different. It may need those points, but it's a game-to-game situation.
I know it's game-to-game and the defense was playing well, but Drew Brees on the other side is why I would have went for it.
Gee, Mike, that sounds a lot like what I just said. I think everybody's in my camp today. You're getting dusted today, buddy.
What are you talking about?
You're getting your butt handed to you today. They're all agreeing with me, not you.
That just means they're all wrong. I mean, Steve's never been right on this show, Mark. Anthony, am I correct? Remember all the games we picked? How many times has Steve been right, Anthony?
I'm not
Keep
sure.
digging, Mike.
Not
Keep
too
digging,
many.
Mike.
You know what? 2 weeks ago, Steve was on here screaming, I think the Colts and the Cowboys are going to play each other in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well,
So,
we're not talking
Steve,
game
Steve
outcomes
did
right
say-
now, Mike. We're not talking
okay.
game outcomes. We're talking
Whatever,
game strategy.
I'll give him that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking game strategy.
Really? And Steve
It
is
was a smart play to
brilliant
take the
with
3
that.
points and go on and put
No,
the
it's
tie
not.
on.
It's a smart
They were
play to win the
pressuring
game.
Breeze like crazy. Breeze was out of
I
sorts.
know.
The whole
Yeah.
New Orleans offense was out of sorts, and that was a smart play to do that.
Sure it was.
Force them to score.
Okay. I mean, if
All
you,
right. Well,
if
it
you trust
worked.
your defense that much, why wouldn't you want to leave them at the 1 with no
Well,
running game? So,
When you got Aaron Donald
Whatever.
and Dominic Sue playing like they're doing, I would probably trust my defense.
okay. Well, this is the end game here.
And it worked.
It worked with the help of an official. Without the official, you lose the game because of it. And everything is 2020 when you look back at it. But I can tell you this, and when I watched them kick the field goal, I thought it was a bad idea. And when I watched the Saints drive right down the field, I knew it was. They just got a little help from their friends. All right, let's go to the Patriots and the Chiefs, since Steve is so confident that he was right on everything there. Patriots-Chiefs, Mark, the Patriots defense in the first
It's got to
half-
get personal again. It's got to get personal
Nothing
again.
gets personal. You're the one that was
That
running
was
your
a
mouth
personal
about
dig on me.
Jeez, you're such a
I'm
baby.
running my mouth on strategy.
I'll tell you what. Yeah.
My God, were you guys married in another life or what?
We're married right now, Mark.
Married right
we
now.
are separated. I've got one of the kids. Steve's got one of the other kids. So
He's got the dogs.
I got the dogs. He's got the cat. That's about it right now. I mean, it's been. You can ask Anthony. He's been on here all year. It's been kind of hairy. Basically,
enjoy it.
Steve is impossible to live with, and he has just gotten so ugly as he's gotten older. I just can't be with him anymore.
Been married 35 years. I don't think I'm that tough to live with.
Oh, that's not what. Every time you talk to me, you say, "Well, Tia went on vacation today." She goes on a lot of vacations.
So I can watch football.
All right, the New England Patriots.
I send her on a cruise. I send her
New
on a
England
cruise to Cabo,
Patriots.
so she gets out of my hair for the weekend, and I can watch football all weekend.
All right,
And golf,
can
and
we go
NASCAR.
on with the show, or are we just going to talk about your life again? It's always got to be all about you, doesn't it, Risley?
That's right, buddy. Go.
All right, the New England Patriots 37, the Kansas City Chiefs 31. What's your first takeaway from this game, Anthony?
I think my first takeaway from this game is how well the Patriots defense is playing and their running game. You know, despite not having the weapons on the outside, it seems like the Patriots they're just getting the job done on the ground with their defense. And even Rob Gronkowski, finally, of all the games to show up, he had a pretty significant game yesterday. He had a couple of big catches, especially in the fourth quarter and so on.
Yeah, and the thing is, you talk about the number one receiver thing, the deep threat, but Mark, when you look at this, 8 guys caught at least one pass yesterday, and 6 of those guys caught 2 or more. I mean, Brady spreads it around, and the play calling from them is just genius.
One of the things when I first went there is offensively, specifically, the Patriots are just the best at taking their best 5 position players and designing an offense around them, right? It's not the offensive coordinator's offense. He takes the best 5 guys in any given situation and designs the play calls around their talents. And that's why you've seen over the years a change in our offensive philosophy at times. We won a Super Bowl in 2001. Our base offense was 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, and a receiver. And we ran and play action like crazy. You know, Brady would throw for 200 yards a game. We'd run for 150 yards a game. And we would ball control and play great defense. That's how we won games. You know, and now, you know, and then you fast forward a little while, and he has Marc, he has these other guys, and he's throwing for 5,000 yards and, you know, throwing the ball all over the field with 3 and 4 wide receivers. And now you find they're morphing again. They're not throwing the ball downfield. They're running the ball. They're back to play action. They're back to short crossing routes. And then every now and then you get an Edelman down in a corner route, or you get a Gronk, you know, down the field as well. So the Patriots are just great at doing what their players do the best.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him so great. And, I mean, you even had James Devlin on a wheel route, a big play in that game, too, catches the ball. Did they do that with you, Mark?
A little fullback love. Yes, sir. I caught about 30 balls a year when I was playing there.
Yeah, and see, most teams don't even have a fullback anymore. And you had Rex Burkhead, who really didn't do much last week or two. All of a sudden, he's 12 carries, 41 yards, made a couple of huge runs. And when you look at this game, Steve, though, I still think the key is the first half defense with the Patriots, because getting up 14-0 almost guarantees you that Tom Brady is going to have a shot to win the game at the end, even if the Chiefs do come back.
Well, it allows Brady to control the tempo and the pace of the game and do his play-action passing. He doesn't have to panic. He doesn't have to try and reach for things. So defense definitely set up the opportunity for Belichick and Brady to control the offense and dictate how they wanted to play their offense. So definitely the defense stepped up. What amazes me about Bill Belichick and the entire Patriots organization is guys like Marc, you're in this boat too. I've never seen a coach or a team that can find players who rise to the occasion, normal players. I mean, guys who aren't Le'Veon Bells or you know, superstars, but guys like Edelman and Sonny Michel, who consistently rise to the occasion to make the plays when the plays need to be made. And nobody in the history of the NFL that I've ever seen or watched does it better than Belichick and the Patriots do. Defensively, the same thing. I can't name one guy on their defense. I mean, right now, I don't think I can name one defensive player. I really don't think I could. But that defense as a whole, those guys rose to the occasion. They put the pressure on Mahomes. They got him out of his source just enough to throw his timing off a little bit. You know, he missed a couple easy touchdown passes. We overthrew a little bit, just threw him off. But those guys rose to the occasion, and they do it so consistently, it's not a fluke. Guys like Marc comes in Super Bowl and does what he does and wins a ring. And he's a great college player. And, I mean, I've never heard his name really to a great degree before, but you look him up on Wikipedia, you look at his stats, say, man, that guy's a great player. He's a Patriot. He's exactly what the Patriots embody in what they do. And that's what this team does year in and year out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, a guy like Rex Burkhead was a Bengal for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
They wouldn't play him unless they absolutely had to. And the thing that always stuck out to me was this. Whenever he had the ball in his hands, he would make a great play. Marvin Lewis would pull him out of the game. And I remember the Bengals played the Colts in the playoffs. I think it was like 2014. And the Bengals had Tyler Eifert hurt, A.J. Green hurt. Almost the entire offense was hurt. Rex Burkhead started and played tight end and caught like 5 passes. And he's like 5'9". And I remember telling my buddy, I said, you watch, he's going to leave here. The New England Patriots are going to sign him, and he's going to be a stud. And that's exactly what's happened, because Rex Burkhead was a Patriot. He was a guy that when you needed something done, he got it done. And when I look at this team, the thing that really stood out to me, Anthony, was the Kansas City Chiefs can't stop the run real good, but they get after the passer. And their offensive line in New England did an outstanding job in controlling that defensive front for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I mentioned this during last week's show, that as good as the Kansas City pass rush is, when they don't have a lead, they're not as effective. And I think that showed yesterday. In the first half, the Patriots had a 2-to-1 ball control ratio. I mean, they totally took the Chiefs out of the ball game.
Well, I think the difference here in what the Colts did against the Chiefs was this. The Patriots lined up and ran between the tackles. The Colts, for some reason, were trying to get on the perimeter. They ran the zone read a lot and let those ends get after him. And I think the ability to run the ball between the tackles, Mark, makes a huge difference offensively with what you can do in the passing game after that.
The Patriots' running game and passing game complemented each other really, really well. And kind of getting back to that first half, yes, the defense played well, but the offense dominated time of possession. They kept the Mahomes and the Chiefs offense off of the field. So when the Patriots defense did get out there, they were fresh and they're flying around, and they were able to get those early stops on third down to get their offense back on the field. And then the Patriots go down, have another long drive, and then Tom Brady makes that uncharacteristic mistake, throwing that interception on the 1 yard line. I was sitting at the TV screaming, pound it in. They threw the ball, and it drove me insane. So the Patriots made a couple big mistakes that actually kept the Chiefs in the game, because the Patriots were absolutely dominating that game, specifically in that first half.
Yeah, and when you look at it on the Kansas City side, I could say this, though, Steve. Patrick Mahomes is the real deal. I don't think there's any question after the way he played yesterday.
I agree. I mean, he's proved himself. He's worth what they're going to pay him. I guess he's going to become the first $200 million quarterback. I read some report that they're talking about as soon as his contract's up, they're going to sign him to a $200+ million contract. They'll be the first one to ever get that in the NFL. He's the real deal. I mean, he's a great player. I mean, he manufactures stuff as well as anybody. He's kind of a Brett Favre with a brain.
All right. My other question is this. I like that.
Mahomes held the ball a little bit too long a few times yesterday.
Yeah, but overall, at the end of the game, he drove his team down to score, and he made a couple tremendous plays on that. He had the illegal pick play. That happens in the NFL all the time. It's very rarely called. It should have been called there because it was blatant as hell. But the thing that stuck out to me with the Chiefs was, I bet they wish they had Kareem Hunt. Damian Williams, 10 carries for 30 yards. Why did they not attempt Spencer Ware in the backfield at all, Anthony?
I think they believe in Damian Williams, and Damian Williams did score 3 touchdowns in what, the third quarter or fourth quarter?
Yeah, but still, the 3 yards a carry is a killer. He scored 1 touchdown.
Oh, he scored 1.
1 rushing touchdown. I'm just talking about running the ball. And he's a great receiver out of the backfield, but there was really no threat in the backfield there.
I mean, when the Chiefs, when they had the ball for 20 minutes and 53 seconds, the Patriots 43-59, I think you had to abandon the run to get back in the game and to keep yourself in the game.
Yeah, and the thing this reminded me of, Mark, was Super Bowl 25, where Belichick upset the Bills, and the Bills, I think, only had the ball for 19 minutes. They were the better team, but he out-schemed them, he out-coached them, and basically won the game doing that.
Absolutely. You know, the Patriots, they dictated the pace of play. They dictated the game. And they did exactly what they wanted to do. They want to take away your best options. They took away Kelsey. They took away Hill, right? Make other guys beat you. Make them beat you in ways that you're not comfortable with. So they were able to move the ball. The Chiefs were able to move the ball in the second half, but they weren't doing it with their key guys. So they were doing it in an uncomfortable manner. Not only that, but you need to look at Belichick's record against young quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Mahomes, as great as he is, he's still only a second-year guy, all right? So you were talking about him holding on to the ball a little bit long at times. There's a reason he was holding on to that ball a little bit longer. He was a little confused. He was seeing things for the first time. Belichick always has a few new wrinkles, and they used them against them, and they were effective. But eventually that talent that Mahomes has, talent that offense has, kind of took over in that second half, and you kind of became a little bit of a shootout. But at the same time, Belichick was able to confuse him just enough to slow him down completely in the first half and slow him down just enough in the second half.
Yeah, and the thing that stood out to me was this. Tyreek Hill, 1 reception, 42 yards. Kelsey, 3 for 23. Between the two of them, they combined for 1 touchdown. The thing that stands out to me then is this. The Chiefs got back in the game by throwing the ball to Damian Williams and doing stuff they don't normally do, and that's what Belichick basically does to you. He comes in, he takes away your 2 best options, and makes you beat him with other things. And more often than not, when you do that, the other team's done.
He made, and because the Patriots got up a little early, like Steve was saying, you made them a little bit one-dimensional. That's why there wasn't a whole lot of that running game. And you make them one-dimensional, you're going to be able to dictate what you want to do. You take away their best options, make them one-dimensional. You make option C, D, E, and F beat you. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, but don't you think, Mark, that's a product of the coaching? Because Andy Reid is a guy that does the same thing. He's going to throw the ball. He doesn't want to run the ball. And when it gets into this situation, Bill Belichick in the same situation may come out and just predominantly run the ball against you. Andy Reid is a guy that does the same thing all the time. And I think that's why Belichick's better than him, because Belichick, week to week, you're getting something completely different.
Well, Belichick's better than all of them. So
yeah, that ever lived. That ever lived. Now,
yeah. Was there some question that
no,
Reid is in Belichick's category?
Well, that is the reason why he's not, because he's not. Yeah. Belichick's not afraid to think outside of the box, where Andy Reid has been in the same box, a large box, of course, because he eats a lot, but he's been in the same box for a long time. Now, the guy to me that was the player of the game was Daniel Sorensen, number 49 for the Kansas City Chiefs. He made 2 enormous plays in this game, Anthony, and I think he ended up with like 11 tackles, three assists, and an interception.
Yeah, he was all over the place, and he almost saved the game.
Yeah, a couple times he made plays that could have made the difference in the game.
Yeah, it seemed like he was in the Patriots' backfield quite a few times.
Yeah, he was in on every play, it seemed like.
Yeah, that kind of going back to the Patriots, where they usually don't make mistakes in critical situations. One, it was Tom Brady throwing the pick in the end zone, still in the first quarter, that would have put him up 14-0 early. And then two was later in the game when once again Sorensen stepped up and stopped Rex Burkhead on 4th and short, where the Patriots kicked that field goal there. They go up by 2 scores earlier in the game. So, I mean, that was key. A couple of uncharacteristic mistakes by the Patriots, but also it was the Chiefs making plays. So, but once again, those were really, really key plays that kept the Chiefs in the game.
All right.
Was this statistically Mahomes' worst passing game of the year? I mean, 16-31 to no.
He threw 3 touchdowns, no picks, almost threw for 300 yards, Steve. I mean,
okay. All right.
Actually,
well,
his stats against the Colts,
numbers.
I don't know. Anthony probably knows this better than me. He follows the stats more than I do since he's a fantasy football guy. But to me, I mean, those stats are pretty good. I think the stats against the Colts were actually worse than the stats he had yesterday.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he didn't have as good as a game statistically against the Colts.
Yeah, and I don't think he had as good. I mean, I think
that's because Damian Williams blew up. I mean, the Chiefs had the lead, and Damian Williams had, I believe, 23 carries. And then yesterday, I'm looking at the box score right now, and it kind of reminds me of the Carolina Panthers. That's what the Patriots did to the Chiefs. They kind of made them force Pat Mahomes to do everything. Damian Williams only had 10 carries, and Pat Mahomes had 2 carries. They only attempted 12 rushes yesterday, and 12 rushes with only 2 players. That's similar to how you shut down the Panthers.
You know the difference here, though? The difference is this. Patrick Mahomes still almost won the game. Cam Newton would have lost by 30.
Yeah, especially with the Patriots running the ball over 48 times. They just pounded and pounded and pounded all game long, and it showed at the end of the game because once the Patriots won the toss in the overtime, I'm like, all right, this is ball game. It's over. They're going to go down and score a touchdown, and that's it. The defense is absolutely exhausted. Andy Reid needs to probably call a couple timeouts on some of those third down conversions, third and long. They had 3 third and longs in that final drive, and they converted every single one of them. So that defense needed a blow at some point, and the Chiefs Andy Reid never called that timeout.
So in the end, we watched Tom Brady drive the length of the field at the end of the game to put him in position. Then we watched him drive the length of the field at the start of the overtime. In my opinion, there can be no question. There was no question before this game, in my opinion. But, Anthony, is Tom Brady the greatest to ever play quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely the greatest winner.
Mark?
And if anything, all the sports. If he wins the Super Bowl, Brady will be the greatest winner of all the sports to me. If he's not that
already. I think he already is.
Mark? Yeah, he is. I mean, outside of Bill Russell, Tom Brady is the best, most successful athlete of all time, in the 4 major sports. You take a,
I think he's more successful than Bill Russell, just by the fact that he is playing in a league where parity is supposed to make everybody 8-8.
Yeah.
Bill Russell played with all the best players. They had very little competition.
Well, very true. There was only 16 NBA teams back when Bill Russell played as well.
Yeah.
So, you know what? As far as winners go, absolutely. And, people make an argument, well, Joe Montana was 4-0 in the Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. People forget Joe Montana lost some NFC championship games as well, and there were many times he never got there.
Yeah.
So Brady has done it on a consistent basis, played in the AFC title game 13 out of his 18 years as a starter. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. Final 4 and 13 out of 18 years? Ridiculous.
Yeah, 8 straight years. Steve? Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, better than your boy Peyton Manning.
There's no argument there at all. No, Tom Brady's the greatest winning quarterback, and like Mark said, probably the greatest winning athlete of all time. I mean, he was superlative over like a Michael Jordan or something like that, or a guys who had that same reputation of rising to the occasion. But nobody has ever done it better than Tom Brady. Never, and nobody probably will.
No, I don't see. There was 100 years of football, professional football before Brady. and nobody got close to that. Terry Bradshaw won 4.
Right.
He went to 4. And for the people to tell me, well, Joe Montana was 4-0. He never lost one. He never threw an interception. To me, going 9 times and being 5-3 going into that 9th time is better than being 4-0, just because he got there more. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, you could say that Montana played better competition because they had to deal with those great Giants, Bears, Redskins teams of the 80s, and there is a case to be made for that. But to me, there's Tom Brady, Joe Montana's the next level, and then everybody else is way below both of those guys.
Can't argue.
Completely agreed.
Yeah, can't argue that one, Mike. You get that
Anthony,
one.
you want to argue that one? Because I'm ready for it if you are.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
The only other thing I want to say is, you got so many people out there that are such Patriots haters. They talk about the Spygate, the Flakegate, and the Patriots are cheaters, and the refs are on their side. These people take a step back and enjoy this run. You're
Right.
never going to see something like this in football again, most likely. This has been a sustained excellence over an 18-year period. Enjoy this. You're never going to see this again. Even Michael Jordan, that was over an 8-year period, right?
Yeah.
Joe Montana, only 4 Super Bowls over, a 10-year period, whatever it was. Sustained excellence over 18 years and counting.
Yeah.
He's not done yet.
No.
Enjoy this,
Yeah.
people.
We're going to be talking about him in the AFC Championship game again next year unless he gets hurt.
When you start talking about naming the greatest athlete of the century or something like that, if you don't put Brady up top, you're not accurate.
Well, this is the thing, though. The thing that strikes me about the Patriots and the people that hate the Patriots is the fact that, I can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope they lose. But when they win, I don't sit there looking for reasons why they won, or you know what I mean? I mean, it's basically with Patriots, people that don't like the Patriots, it's the fact that, well, if they won, then it has to be fixed. But I hate to tell everybody this. The NFL would probably rather have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Rams right now. They can play off at a 53-50 game. You've got the young Patrick Mahomes, the young Jared Goff. You got a team from L.A. playing a team from the Midwest. If the NFL had their way, they would probably rather have that. Anthony?
Yeah, I think that is the sexier matchup, but it's the Patriots. It's the Super Bowl. I don't think people are going to be turning the television set off, because as much as people hate Brady and the Patriots, they still will watch them to see them lose.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
the perfect example is there was a pay-per-view fight Saturday night with a dude by the name of Adrian Broner from Cincinnati, and he's a guy that 90% of people hate, 10% love, but the thing is that 90% will pay to watch him get his ass whipped. And he has made a ton of money off of that. And, he's not even very good, but he's made a ton of money just by making people hate him so much that they'll pay their hard-earned money just to watch him get his ass kicked.
The thing in my eyes is that you look back at why does everybody hate the Patriots? Well,
They win.
They're not really a dirty. They're not a dirty football team. They're not like the Raiders of the '70s that cheap shot at everybody until they were blue in the face. They're not necessarily an overly physical football team, but they just win all the time. You start disliking them just because you just get tired of them winning.
Yeah.
And that's why most people don't like them. It's just because they just win. And that's the greatest respect in the world. If I don't like you because you win too much, I'll take that any day of the week. And
Exactly.
I'm a converted Patriots fan now. I mean, I'm a Colts fan, so I was always like, damn it, they're going to beat us again. I hate the Patriots because they're going to beat us again. No, it's true. I mean, we got by 1 year, and we got a Super Bowl out of it. Other than that, it's always, every time we go to New England, we're going to lose. And sure enough, we lost. But you got to respect what the Patriots have done, and you don't like them because simply for one reason, they just always find a way to beat you. It's as simple as that.
And they do it different ways every single year.
Yeah.
Whatever
My
way
point
they
is
need
this.
to do it, they get it done.
To prove your point even more, right now, everybody's darling are the Cleveland Browns. If 10 years from now, Baker Mayfield's won 4 Super Bowls, everybody will hate the Cleveland Browns. Nobody will ever remember liking the Cleveland Browns because.
Yep, and hell would have frozen over too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I don't think Vegas.
Wait a second, though. Wait a
I don't
second,
think the
Mark.
Browns are going to win.
Mark, you're
Yeah.
about the same age as me, so you grew up what mid-70s into the 80s, and
I was an '80s kid.
and the thing is this: the thought of the New England Patriots winning a Super Bowl was almost laughable when I was growing up.
It really was. It really was.
Steve Grogan. Steve Grogan.
Yeah.
I love Steve Grogan, and I just
I love
wish
Steve Grogan too.
I just wish this. I just wish they still had the Minuteman on their helmet because I think they've ruined it without it. I don't like the new helmets, which aren't really
Yeah,
new.
the Minutemen were cool. Yeah.
The Minutemen were awesome. But,
Yep.
Yeah.
all right, guys. We still have one more game to go. If you guys want to come back, we'll get you on here
Friday.
next week or so. Not this Friday because the game's not this
On
Friday.
a week from Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
But a week from Friday, if you want to come back on, Mark and Anthony, you're more than welcome. And Anthony,
Everybody in?
All right. Hey, we'll book it. We're there, man.
All right, and I want to tell everybody.
Hey,
that,
and Mark,
go ahead.
wait, Mark. Next week we're going to do kind of trying to get some Super Bowl guys on. So maybe next week, could you come on just tell Super Bowl stories?
We can do whatever we need to do.
All righty.
Okay.
And
So Mike, why don't you set that up?
I
We'll
can
talk-
tell
we'll
you
not talk
this.
the game. Just let him talk about being in the Super Bowl and the atmosphere in the locker room and about actually being on the field and all the pageantry involved in the Super Bowl. So, Mark, I'd love to have you come back in and talk to you about that.
I'd rather tell the story the first night we were down there, and it was the only night we didn't have curfew. How's that?
all right, we'll do that
That's-
then. We'll start
I love
off
those
with that.
We'll
I
set
can
that
tell
up
you
for
guys
next
this.
week, too.
We're going to start doing that this Wednesday, and we're going to try to have a former player of a Super Bowl team. And Super Bowl 18, Jack Squirick intercepts the pass at the end of the first half that makes it 21-3. Jack Squirick from the Los Angeles Raiders, Super Bowl 18 champions, will be with us on Wednesday. Also, later in the week, this will be an NFL Legends show, so it'll probably be sometime in the evening or late afternoon. But I'll have Ron McDowell, who was a legendary Washington Redskin, Buffalo Bill, won a couple AFL championships in the mid-'60s, played on George Allen's Over the Hill gang that played in Super Bowl 7 against the undefeated Dolphins. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. And as always, Mark, Anthony, I want to thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Hey,
All right.
love talking about my Patriots.
All right. We will
Mark, we'll have
definitely
you on
you
next week, talk about your Super Bowl experience. It'll just be a show
All right, sounds good.
dedicated to you and your Super Bowl experience.
Yeah, because Steve's in charge now, and he's going to run what happens. Jesus.
Mike,
You can see why we split up now, can't you, Mark?
That's right.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks a lot, guys. The show is not
bet. It was
over.
fun.
Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report will be on in 1 minute and 11 seconds after this word from out of left field. Thanks, guys.
Hey, sports fans. Chris and Graham here from the Grueling Truth Network.
Baseball's boring. It's too slow. Where's the fun in it? If you think that, then why the hell are you listening to Out of Left Field with us on thegruelingtruth.net?
On our show, we make baseball way more than just a bunch of numbers. You laugh with us, probably yell at us, and hopefully learn a thing or two from us.
Ever wonder what it's like to be a major league umpire or why they made the call they did? Lucky for you, we have our own umpire on the show, even have big league umpires stopping by from time to time, and even the occasional big leaguer or two.
And all of that's just the first 10 minutes.
Hold on.
Come on by and join the fun. Listen to Out of Left Field with Grant and me every week on thegruelingtruth.net, and give us a follow on Twitter and Facebook.
Just search Out of Left Field with Chris and Graham and like our page on Facebook. Or use our Twitter handle, @OOLeftField. It's that simple. See you all this week when we put the ball in play on Out of Left Field.
Welcome back to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Once again, I want to thank former New England Patriot Marc Edwards and from the FF Faceoff, Anthony Cervino, for coming on today to talk about yesterday's championship games. And Steve, now we've got Bobby the Greek. Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. How you doing, Bobby?
Steve and Mike, how are you guys doing this morning?
All right. Did you
We're
make a
having
million over
we're
the
having a
weekend?
ball.
Did you guys have a good talk about the games?
Yeah, and I was right on
Yeah.
both of them. It was just the officials wouldn't let me be right on the one. So in my
they
head,
missed they
I was
missed they
2-0.
missed Mike's call.
Yeah, they missed everybody.
Yeah, well, if the if a guy would have lined up on sides correctly, I think I'd have been running both of them.
Yeah,
so
but
everybody,
see, this is the thing. If that guy would have lined up all sides and I'd have got the call, we'd have still been even. So,
well, that's
all right.
true.
So
I'll take it the way it went because the Rams were a big max top play for TSR, and so we'll take it just the way it went.
all right. Well, luckily, the Patriots and Chiefs was my max play of the weekend, so I'll take it too. Let's see. So what is the point spread right now at this moment in Vegas on Super Bowl?
Right now, this moment in Vegas is New England favored by 2.
Okay.
And that's interesting because the Rams opened up a 1-point favorite at the Superbook, which is the Westgate Hotel in Las Vegas, and it quickly moved to pick'em. Moved quickly to 1, and then settled in this morning at 2. How much of that is big action? How much of that is just the lines, they're just quickly moving the number to a spot where they think they need to put it. And right now it looks like it's at 2, and the way it looks to me, it'll end at round of 3 or 2.5, and we'll go play in 2 weeks. But, if you're a Ram guy, I think I'd wait a little bit. And if you're a New England guy, well, those guys have already said they're going to come in at less than a field goal. So I'm surprised. I thought it would be around a pick'em, or I thought the Rams might be favored. And I think the Belichick Brady, what they just witnessed, the public, what they just see is what they do, and it's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, and that seems to be what they always do, so it makes it really tough to beat. All right, so who's your big play in basketball tonight?
Well, we have a game that we think is really solid tonight. Miami goes to Boston, and it starts in 3 hours. If you're listening live, today's a little bit later start for the
Martin Luther King Day, right? The Martin Luther King games. Yeah, they start them early. Yeah.
Right, they start them early, and they've already got 3 or 4 going right now. And so this game starts at 3 o'clock Pacific, which is in just in 3 hours, and it's Miami at Boston. And the game opens 7.5. That's what's on the sheet on the TSR report, but it's sitting at 8 now, and I think it's the correct movement on the game. Boston was a 3.5-point favorite in the most recent game they played, and we're going to talk about that. So 8 seems like a reasonable number, okay? So from a handicapping standpoint, when you first look at this game, Boston got beat by these guys 115-99 on January 10th. So just, 10 or so days ago, 11 days ago. And we know that revenge spots are hitting at 70-something% over a good amount of time recently in the NBA. So we're going to want to be on Boston, a revenge spot. We're going to want to be on them, but we got to dig deeper. So let's look at that game. Boston beat Miami. Miami beat Boston by 16, 115-99, as I mentioned. And Boston actually won the first and third quarters in that game by 3 points. And where they lost the game was in the second and fourth quarters, they got beat by 19. So you look, why'd that happen? Well, the Boston reserves, Hayward, your guy Hayward from the previous show, Risley, Gordon Hayward, Brown, and Rozier go 5 for 20 from the floor. Al Horford shoots 1 for 8 as a starter. Neither of these things will happen. Those 3 off the bench and Horford will not go 6 for 28 from the floor tonight at home in a game that they're going to be ready to win. So we know that that's going to be a better situation. We look a little deeper, leadership standpoint. Kyrie Irving, after that game, he found a practice court to shoot on. This is you can research this and find it. And he put up shots after that game for 30 minutes. And he accepted blame for the loss, even though clearly the loss was on the second unit. So from that game, since that game on January 10th, Miami's gone 1-2, and Boston's gone 3-1 on a 3-game winning streak. We look at their week. They've got Cleveland on Wednesday at home, which that's a bye. I mean, they're going to be favored by 15, 18 points in that game. And then they host the Warriors on Saturday. So there is no doubt tonight Boston is going to be very, very ready to come back and play a very good game in this spot. This loss to Miami on the 10th has propelled this team. And it's right around that 42-43 game mark. we've got a lot of things going tonight. So I anticipate a double-digit win. I anticipate Boston hanging a number on Miami tonight. And from a motivational standpoint, from a scheduling standpoint, and from a numbers standpoint, this is a solid play.
All right, so that would be Boston and give the 8 points tonight, correct?
Yes, sir. That would be Boston and give the 8, and let's see if we can have a double-digit lead going into the fourth.
All right, and if anybody wants to pick up the Sheridan Report, tell them where they can do that.
Well, they can do it by going to thesheridanreport.com. They can email me at bsher1@aol.com. And they should always follow at Sheridan Report because we've got a lot of good things on there. I the Australian Open.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I mean, it's Roger Federer gets beat Sunday.
Wait, before we get on to tennis, can I ask a question?
Sure.
What the hell are the Milwaukee Bucks doing with their uniforms? Oh my God!
Those
are the most hideous things I've ever. The only good thing about the Milwaukee Bucks uniform is they have the Harley-Davidson logo on their patch, which is cool, but those have got to be the most hideous NBA basketball uniforms I've ever seen in my life. When did the Bucks go yellow? Yellow and red?
Probably.
Weren't they green and white and red or something like that when
Oscar
and Alcindor were playing for them? What the hell is going on here? Nike's getting crazy here.
Yeah,
are they taking color block to the NBA now?
They're just making more money. People are going to buy those today on the internet.
Oh my God! I'm watching Orlando play Milwaukee right now, and I turn it on and I'm like, the color's off on my TV. I got to go to the new TV because the color's way off. No, wait, no, the Orlando's uniforms look pinstripe blue. Yeah, same Maverick uniforms I've always seen. What the hell is Milwaukee doing? Jeez.
All right, did you have any picks you want to give out for the Australian Open today, or?
Well, there's none on the sheet, and I didn't anticipate any at all. But now that you say that, Tsitsipas, and it's spelled with a T, T-S-I-T.
Yeah, the one to beat Federer.
The one to beat Federer, we had him at 450 plus 450. We put it on the Twitter because it came out too late for the report, but we did tweet about it, and he won, and he was opened up $1.25 favorite tonight over Busta, I think is the opponent, who's playing really well. Obviously, we're in the fourth round now, so I mean,
yeah, everybody's playing.
But he's
well
opened up
$1.
Now. Right, he's opened up $1.25, so automatically there's no value there. I'm not laying a number on our money line. We've talked about that. But I looked at the line updated just before I came on air, and he's down to minus 105. So his opponent has gotten the money. I don't quite understand that. I think they're anticipating a letdown spot. I'm not. If you watch this guy play, he's got it all figured out mentally. You don't beat Federer in that type of match at a major.
Is he the American, or is that TFO?
No, it's Tiafoe who plays Nadal at 4:15 in the morning. I really like Tiafoe.
Yeah,
but it's a great athlete.
He's the American, right?
Yeah.
Right, he's the American, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What kind of odds is he sitting at right now against Nadal?
Nadal is huge. Nadal, I don't have it in front of me right now. I wish I did, but it was one of those lines that Nadal's like minus 1,000. You would have to lay 1,000 to make 100, and coming back you would.
Yeah, but if you lay 100, you can make 1,000. If you go on Tiafoe.
Well, not quite because they take their cut. You get like 750 or something like that. But to me, it's a no play because I just don't see that as an upset. But we did see Tsitsipas and even Steve and I talked a little off air. Federer at 37 or whatever. He's just not quite as dominant.
He's becoming more ceremonial than he is.
Tom Brady.
Right. No, he's becoming more ceremonial. I mean, his clothing company just signed to a big $300 million contract. I'm thinking, man, is that a good investment in the guy this age? Because he's not going to be in a lot of finals. There'll be one or two, kind of like we think Tiger's going to win one more major maybe in his career, but really, truly, is Tiger going to be Tiger ever again? He had a big win at the Tour Championships, but can he sustain that? And I don't see Federer ever being able to sustain it ever again to the level he did 5 years ago. And a big investment in him financially with his clothing company. Although he'll still sell a lot of the clothing. So, but Bobby, what's the odds? Are there any odds on a floating TV camera knocking out and killing a referee?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Did you see that happen?
I didn't see it. No.
Oh no, they had one of those floating cameras on the wires that hangs above the court, and it went haywire, and it took out one of the referees in the umpire in the chair. It took her out.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It went haywire.
Oh man.
That was on ESPN last. Yeah. Little Panama Jack going on down there.
So, what do we want to talk about for your day in sports history?
There were two things I wanted to talk about. The one I wanted to, are official, as I wanted to talk about the Roberto Duran moment there. And but there was a second one I wanted just real quickly. Steve, a guy in 1980 college basketball, I think it was for Kansas State. Do you have it, the TSR report in front of you?
Yeah, I got it. Virginia Tech makes 89.3-inch basketball field goal, Les Henson.
Do you remember that shot?
Lou's son. No, I don't remember that shot.
Oh, it was Lou's?
I do.
Was it Lou's son?
No, I made that up.
No, he did.
No, I don't know it was Lou Henson's son.
Oh.
I know who Lou Henson is.
So gullible, Bobby. Damn, you're making this too easy for Steve.
Anyhow, the guy made an 89-foot shot, and it's the longest shot ever made in college basketball. And that's the whole floor, right, Steve?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
It's got to be pretty close. Yeah, pretty much. He stepped in bounds and fired it.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that happens.
I want to talk about Roberto Duran.
I'm more interested in McEnroe getting tossed out of the Australian Open. That's more about my alley.
Why? That happened all the time.
And then he's on court last night, interviewing everybody. So it's great. But anyways, Roberto Duran, Mike, would you speak a few minutes on him?
What do you want to know about Esteban de Jesus?
Yes.
All I know about Roberto Duran is no mas, no mas, no mas. That's all I know about Roberto Duran.
You don't know a lot about a lot of things, so we'll just add that to the
collection.
Roberto
all
Duran.
Right, no problem.
1971 Madison Square Garden, knocks out Ken Buchanan to win the lightweight championship of the world. He actually fought a kid by the name of Esteban de Jesus in a non-title fight. I think it was towards the end of 1972, and de Jesus actually beat him. Now, he didn't get Duran's title because Duran wasn't Duran was the champion, but it was a non-title fight. And the thing about Duran, when you look at his record, is probably for every title defense he had 2 or 3 non-title fights, and they were usually in Panama City. He would do an occasional at Madison Square Garden. This is how he got his bankroll up, if you know what I mean. He would fight 6 times in a year, and maybe 3 of them would be title fights. The other 3, if you look at him, he's fighting guys after he's won the title. Before he fought de Jesus, he fought 2 non-title fights against a guy that was 11-3, another guy that was 15-12. He fights Esteban de Jesus, which was a bad mistake. De Jesus was a hell of a fighter. He beats him, or de Jesus beats him. Now, you fast forward to 1974, and Roberto Duran had a tendency to come in to fights, even important fights, out of shape, which I think is what led to the no mas with Sugar Ray Leonard in the second fight. But de Jesus had beat him, and if you watch their second fight, Duran entered the fight. This is for you, Bobby. I think it was like a 2-1 favorite. Like less than 90 seconds into the fight, the Puerto Rican challenger caused lightning to strike twice as he hits Duran and drops him. For the second consecutive fight, he drops Duran. Nobody else has ever dropped Duran. Everybody freaks out. But by the time you get to the third round and you watch this fight, Duran completely, brutally beats de Jesus. And then you get to the third fight, 1978. What I remember about this fight, it was on a lightweight title fight. It's a unification fight because de Jesus won, I think, like the WBA title. Duran held the WBC title. This was Duran's last lightweight fight until he moved up to welterweight to chase after Sugar Ray Leonard. And again, it was a great fight, but it was a one-sided beating. It was on, you remember the CBS Sports Spectacular, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, every Saturday afternoon at like 4:30, they had to fight. Tom Brookshire, I think, called this fight with Brent Musburger. I'm not 100% sure there, but I think it was because it's one of my favorite fights because this is Duran at his best. It's the third fight to decide which one of them is the better fighter, and Duran just brutally beats DeJesus again, knocks him out in 12 rounds, and, I mean, the rest, they say, is history. I mean, Duran goes on to welterweight to win the title again, beats, the American legend, Sugar Ray Leonard. So the thing that's interesting, the most interesting about this, though, is these guys were rivals, and they absolutely hated each other. But Esteban DeJesus passed away in 1989. He was only 38 years old. I think, I'm not 100% sure here, but I'm pretty sure he got extremely sick. He had AIDS. And the thing that stood out about it was a story Vinny Pazienza told me. Vinny Pazienza has been on the show a few times on the boxing show. And he goes in 1989, and Esteban DeJesus is on his deathbed. And Duran leans down, gives him a hug, kisses him on the cheek, tells him he loves him. And DeJesus dies like 10 minutes later. This event was witnessed by Jose Torres, who was the light heavyweight champion of the world. And he told Pazienza this story, who relayed it to me. And he said Torres couldn't believe the compassion that Duran showed to him because they were evil rivals. And I guess Jose said that even for a while after he kissed him on the head, Duran actually laid in the bed with him and hugged him for a while. And then he gets up and leaves. DeJesus passes away, and then Duran shows up to the funeral. Duran paid for the funeral, and he paid all of DeJesus' medical bills because DeJesus was down and out. And I think it is a story that tells you the greatness of Roberto Duran, and it also tells you what draws me to the sport of boxing, which is the fact that these guys, I mean, if you look at Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, they fight 3 fights, life or death, and become lifelong friends. And, I mean, this is something where Duran had not seen DeJesus since he knocked him out for the 3rd time and basically stood over him, spit on him, and called him a punta. And that's not a good word in Spanish to call another man, Steve, just so you know. But 11 years later, he shows up, to pay his respects before he dies, pays all his bills, all his family's bills, and I think the story of Duran and DeJesus kind of tells you what boxing is like. I mean, you also got Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. I mean, Max Schmeling almost got killed by Joe Louis the second time they fought. Schmeling was considered a Nazi. Louis was the American. But you fast forward 30 years later, Joe Louis is down and out, doesn't have a dime to his name. Max Schmeling finds out about it, gets on a plane, flies to Chicago, just wanders the streets of Chicago until he finds Joe Louis and helps him out. I don't think you're going to see that in other sports.
It's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. The brothership and the bond that they have after they just go to war like that, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's just like you'll see guys cussing at each other, spitting on each other, and everything else. They get in a fight. When the fight's over, the first thing they do is hug each other.
Mike is kind of like you and me.
Whatever, Steve. I would never hug you. You're too ugly. I only hug handsome men like Bobby.
You wouldn't crawl in the bed with me if I was dying?
No, I don't think I would, Steve. Because you know what?
Man.
I would be too
That
afraid.
breaks my heart.
I'd be too afraid that I'd poke you with a pencil.
Told you, I avoid Leo.
But anything else we want to discuss, Bobby, before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good. Everything's going well.
All right, make sure you check out the share.
Hey, I want to comment here. Wait, I want to comment on 2010. Wait, just fine. The Lakers forward Kobe Bryant becomes the youngest NBA player to reach 25,000 career points at 31 years, 151 days, beats Wilt Chamberlain 30 days. Yeah, he also had 4 years over Wilt, too, to do that. All right, because he didn't play college ball.
Did.
Wilt went to Kansas and played college ball. So that's another one of those asterisks needs to be put on that record, like Roger Maris, got an extra 45 or 20 games, 16 games, whatever, to break Babe's home run record.
He got an extra 7 games because I think Babe Ruth was playing 154 back then, and 8 games.
Okay,
Maris was playing 162.
Nonetheless, Kobe got an extra 4 years to get to that number that Wilt didn't have. So,
right.
Well,
still,
right.
Wilt Chamberlain.
And all these, yes,
Go
and
ahead.
all these MLB playoff records that are, you can't even compare those because they have
Yeah.
2 and 3 rounds of MLB playoffs now.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
it's the same
everything's
sort of-
best out of
yeah.
7 pretty much now, isn't it?
Hey, Bobby,
Right,
Bobby
right.
What, you're
Yes.
a baseball player. What is the one record in baseball that will never be touched? Never.
Well, there's a few in terms of lifetime pitching stats now for starters because the starters.
Nobody's winning more games than Cy Young.
Right, but
That's
the
one.
one that, is interesting is how about the hitting streak?
Yeah, DiMaggio.
Do you think that'll? Yeah, DiMaggio.
I
hitting
think
streak?
that'll
I don't-
fall eventually. Somebody
never
will.
fall.
That's not.
It'll never fall.
It-
Baseball's
it-
different.
I agree. But it's likely that it could. The one that will never be touched is Nolan Ryan's strikeout record.
That'll be touched before 511 wins.
You know what? And how about? Here's another one. How about? Cal
I don't
Ripken?
think either one of them will
Wait.
ever be touched, Mike.
Yeah,
7
yeah,
no-hitters.
Yeah.
I think Rose's record could get broke someday. Just because
I think Rose's record will go.
because we see guys like Tom Brady playing into their 40s now, and the thing people
Right.
forget is Pete Rose hung on for the last 3 years just to break that record. I mean, I know his last season with the Reds, I think he batted like 214 or something. So he basically poured
he was a
himself
player
out to
manager,
break the record.
too.
Yeah, he was a terrible
Right.
Yeah,
manager.
but to think that you have to average 300 strikeouts a year for 20 seasons to get close to Nolan's
happen.
strikeout record, it's never going to happen. Nobody's ever going
Actually,
to play that long.
if you average 300 for
200
20 years,
strikeouts
you'd
in the-
smash it. Because wasn't his record a little over 5,000?
I thought it was pretty close to 6, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
It was over 5,000.
Yeah, it was over 5.
So, yeah. Here, let me look it up real quick while we're talking. I'll Google it real quick.
This stuff.
I don't know it.
Yeah, the
Let
Cal
me see. Nolan Ryan.
Played as well.
Games
I think
played,
that'll
though,
go.
you can just show up and beat that. But the thing about the 56-game hitting streak is this. When I was growing up, Pete Rose had the 44 straight games. And the thing that always stood out to me is
5,714. He struck out 5,714 batters.
Well, thanks for just interrupting me when I'm talking with a random number.
I'm sorry.
But when Pete Rose in 1978 got
Sorry.
the 44 in a row, and Gene Garber strikes him out in Atlanta to stop the streak, I remember my dad looked at me and he said, for him to even tie that record, he would have had to have a hit in every game for the next 2 weeks still.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
that's saying a lot. You got to go 2 more weeks getting hit every game just to tie that record because you'd have one day
Well-
off during the week. So that's 12 games right there. So I don't think that'll be touched either.
No, but money has changed a lot of those longevity records too because guys make so much money now they don't need to play that long. Back then, guys were not making the money they're making now,
There aren't
and they
many
had to
guys.
keep playing.
There weren't many guys playing into their 40s back then, Steve. I think with all
Right,
of the
right.
health and wellness
You're right.
stuff you got out there to keep you healthy, that you see guys going longer and longer. It's like hell anymore. It's no big deal for a boxer that's 38 or 39 to still be. I mean, Manny Pacquiao looked great. He's 40 years old, but he also has the best steroids money could buy for the last 15 years. So that helps too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, look at Brady. Look at Dirk's starting to slow down. Dirk Nowitzki, he's slowing down, but still, geez, he's been in there, for a long time with the Mavericks.
Hell, I
21
thought he
seasons with
retired.
the Mavericks. In the NBA, that's pretty good in the NBA. He played 21 years in the NBA.
Yeah, you'll see
I don't know.
centers that have done it, but you usually don't see guards and
Unbelievable.
forwards do it.
Yeah, nobody's got to run up down the court and play defense. And Jabbar may have played that long, but he just kind of lobbed his butt up and down the court and parked himself on the paint both times. And
Well, he was a center. And
You know.
that's kind of what they were supposed to do. He let
right,
the
no.
young- he let
I'm
Magic
not,
and them
not
run.
knocking it.
You sound like that
But
airplane.
Nowitzki,
movie now.
he's a guy that had to run up and down the court and play defense, play out on the wing and perimeter, and move a lot and create his own opportunity to score. So, but then, like I said, what Nolan Ryan did and what Cy Young did, baseball probably has more untouchable records than pretty much any sport, professional sport, I think.
Probably.
Mhm.
I still
Yeah.
think that Babe Ruth's 714 is pretty untouchable without steroids. Or 715.
Yeah,
Hank
you know,
Aaron's 715. Hank Aaron's 715. But
Hank Aaron hit 744, didn't he?
Hank Aaron hit 715. Don't argue with me. Babe
No,
Ruth hit
no.
714. I don't know. He had 715.
No,
Think
Hank
about
Aaron
it.
hit 7.
Aaron went
Hank Aaron.
past it. He 7:15 broke.
Yeah,
it,
he
went
hit
on
like
past it.
7:44.
I don't know how many.
7:55. Yeah.
7:55.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
I'll look
so.
it up.
I
As
think
long
so.
as Steve was
Yeah,
wrong,
look it
that's
up.
all that matters.
Hank Aaron home run record. 7:55. Finished with 7:55. And Marcus
So Bobby
until
was
Barry
right,
Bonds
you
hit a
were
7:56. Yeah. I was
All
close.
right.
Closer than you.
Whatever. You're still dumber than me.
You know who you hit a 7:15 home run off of?
Yeah, Al Downing
You know
for
this
the Dodgers.
Yeah.
No, 7:15 was off Al Downing, correct?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, 7:14 was off Billingsley,
Oh.
wasn't it?
Billingham.
Al Billingham?
Yeah. No, Jack Billingham.
Jack
who
Billingham. for
I
the
think
Reds,
Jack
yeah.
Billingham, after his career, was actually a dealer, not a coke dealer, but an actual poker dealer in Vegas. But and the thing that was interesting about that is he broke it on opening day in 1974, and there
Yep.
were still 2 more games to play in Cincinnati, and they actually sat him for both of those games so he would break it at home. Because I remember everybody in Cincinnati was pissed because they thought they were going to see Hank Aaron break the record.
Yeah, and I remember watching that game too. I remember I watched it when that happened.
And how about this? 7-14 was in he tied Babe Ruth opening day 1974, which was also the first game that what would end up being longtime Reds announcer Marty Brenneman ever called for the Reds because he had replaced Al Michaels after Michaels stepped away to go to ABC the previous year.
And Brenneman just retired, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got one more
Right.
year, and then he's retiring. And this is the thing, Bobby. The thing you notice is this. I know all kind of cool stuff, and I don't have to say, wait a second, so I can Google it and then blurt out a random number 30 seconds later.
Yeah, no, Mike. Mike, I've never said you're not a genius. I don't know what you know.
Shit.
I
Grizzly did it.
ignore you
did
that.
2 things on the court, though.
Whatever.
You know what-
I don't remember him,
He might
and I
now
watched
never
all
be
those
in
games.
the Indiana Hall of Fame either.
Yeah, but he paid to get himself into that. He'll admit to that.
All right.
I don't
I
think
got Yemen and Russell starting in 3 minutes.
All right, we're going to wrap
All
it
right,
up. Remember,
fellas.
you go check out the Sheridan Report. Me and Steve will be back with Brian Ralph from Fansided to talk a little college basketball tomorrow. Bobby will be on towards the end of
And
the
Bobby.
show once again
Yep.
to give us the pick of the night for the Sheridan Report. So make sure you go check him out. Remember, Tuesday night, which is tomorrow night, after the Indiana game at Northwestern, myself, Steve Risley, and Colin Hartman will have the Indiana basketball postgame show. So
Hey,
make
Mike,
sure you check us
Mike,
out there.
Mike,
What?
Mike,
What?
Bobby,
yes.
what's your
Yeah.
record with us now?
Oh man, maybe
Geez,
14
Bobby, I
and
give you an
4,
assignment
something
and
like
you don't follow through.
All
What
right.
the hell good are you?
I don't know, but what the hell
You
good
know
are
what?
you, Risley? You interrupt me every time I try to finish the show.
14 and
You
3,
can't
14
keep
and 4.
statistics.
I know the top
And-
place 28 and 13. I know that.
And I would like to remind people that Wednesday on Survive in Advance, we'll have former Los Angeles Raider, hero of Super Bowl 18, Jack Squirick on this show. I think that's about all I got for now. So we're going to wrap the show up. Steve will probably interrupt me at least once here while I try to finish this up. But I want to remind everybody, you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Bobby Sheridan, Mark Edwards, Anthony Cervino, Steve Risley, that's a lot of people. I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.